Thanks to the support as a channel member, Kenny Gray. Yeah, you're telling me we're all gutted to go so close. I hear it was a championship record points tally for a team to not get promoted to the Premier League with. We're unlucky. And I actually think we're not a million miles away from where we need to be. It's weird going into a transfer window. I'm not really asking. I don't need much in the way of money. I think our squad is just about there. I think we strengthened really well in January. Just all I'm asking, once again, if we could expand the ground, that would be great. And please don't sell anyone out from under me. I know it's been years now since you did, but that would be a disaster. Hello and welcome to part 84 of Homegrown. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our season review and transfer special as we try and prepare for one more go at getting into the Premier League. But we'll start things off with the season review. We're going to go through it quite quickly because, I mean, it's frustrating. It was a great season. It's the best season in the history of the club. Highest ever league finish, a championship record for points in a non-promoted side. But I still feel miserable at the way it's turned out. So this is our signings. It looks like Roberto Costabile has won signing of the season, but the board, Mrs Wearmouth, has given me an E because of the transfer fee and players' wage being on the high side, making this deal look costly. Ultimately, he came in and got eight goals from 14 appearances. He's the striker we've needed all along. So if he carries on scoring at that kind of ratio, that's what, 20, 25 goal a season striker. I think that's worth £2.5 million goals in the £2.5 million pounds in the Championship all day long. Other significant signings, Grucock, I think needs to come back into our team and be awesome this year if he's going to be the long-term replacement for Nathan Curry. George Francis, I think probably will feel a little harshly done by that he didn't get signing of the season. He got a C+ out of the board, but did only average a 6.89 and only 3 assists from wing-back. Is a little bit low from what we'd normally expect. Kieran Hodgkinson, of course, coming in permanently. We got a C for him. He's always good value, although again, only a 6.88. And then some of these players who are going to come good in this coming year, hopefully, the likes of Santa Maria, Jackson Wolf, Gould, Crespo still hasn't got a work permit. Obviously, Ali Bassett came in this year as well. And I think Ali Bassett's great, although he only got a 6.64. I think he does show signs of being very good. A lot of these are very young players, which is why I don't think we need to do a lot in the way of transfer business this summer, because I think we did the bulk of the business we needed to do back in January. We spent nearly £10 million, and I think we're set up well to go and get promoted. Any other season in the history of football, 99 points is enough to get us automatic promotion to the Premier League. We didn't do a lot wrong this season. To miss out on goal difference and to be 1 point off of winning the title, we didn't do a lot wrong, especially because we were supposed to avoid a relegation battle. So we got an A+ from Mrs Wearmouth for turning out with the season that we did. Renan got top goal scorer, again, largely from the wings. He's back this season, it seems. Financially, it's still not perfect. We could really do with getting a move up the sponsorship table a little bit here in the Championship. It's not likely to happen while our reputation is still as low as it is. But there's teams in this league with 20, 30, 40 million pounds a year in sponsorships. We get £250,000 a year. We need a big sponsor. Broadcast revenue's down a little bit because we didn't have as much of a cup run this year. But we did increase on corporate hospitality. In fact, it couldn't be a cup run thing because we got loads more prize money this year. Not quite sure. I guess we just had less interesting games to get on the telly, I guess, but match day revenue, commercial revenue is all up. Everything seems to be moving in the right direction. Harrison Davies still sells more shirts than anybody else. Interesting to see Tommy Jessup still shifting a lot of shirts as well. I don't think he started a game all season. And this is our team of the year. Very surprised to see Mackenzie Fulton as the striker in the team of the year. Williams in goal, a back four of Francis, Barr, Davies and Curry. Hodgkinson and Akani in midfield. Hamilton, Roberts and Renan. I agree with everything up until this point. Mackenzie Fulton only started 8 games all year, only scored 5 goals. Costabile, if we're going to put someone who didn't play a lot of games, I guess Costabile probably didn't play enough games to get into the team of the year, which is why Fulton is in. And certainly that first half of the season before Costabile was here, it was Renan, it was Hodgkinson. They were the ones who were playing up front more often than not before establishing themselves a little bit further back later on in the season as we started to improve and get that run of form together that so very nearly took us to the promised land. 22 goals for Renan, 15 from Hamilton, 7 from Hodgkinson. I think it's his best ever goal return. It's a bit of a shame to see Harrison Davies only get 3 goals all year. It seems his goal threat is dwindling in over time, which is a little bit sad. I did win the Championship Manager of the Month in August. Didn't get promoted though. Fans Player of the Year is Harrison Davies. Young Player of the Year, Joe Barr. That's why Alec Lay doesn't start ahead of the two of them at the moment. Costa Bile gets signing of the season, goal of the season to Renan. Top scorer is also Renan. Most assists is Hamilton with 11. Hamilton was another one who was back this year. Most man of the matches goes to Renan as well. Highest average rating to Davies. And most pass completion is Hodgkinson. We didn't set any of the competition records, but club records, we set 3 of them. Harrison Davies, as usual, extending his own record for all-time most league appearances, 327 league appearances for Holme now. And we also set both transfer records. Highest transfer fee paid, £3 million for Ernie Grucock, and highest transfer fee received was £7.5 million for Stephen Reed. Neither of them have yet played a game for the club that they signed for. That's the level we're still at. Our all-time best 11 then has Alex Williams in goal, Tom Bachelorette-Pitetta at left-back, who I think is still Blackpool's captain, down in League 2 now. I mean, he's a great player down in League 2. He's having one of the best seasons of his career down there. Shay Charles, who also left us this year to go to Nottingham Forest down in League 1, where, again, that's his level. He'll have a lovely time down there. Davies and Curry making up the rest of the back four. Why is this a 4-4-2? We haven't played a 4-4-2 ever. We did a 4-2-4 for a long time, but never a 4-4-2. Slam Dunk on the left, who's still part of our coaching setup. One of our under 18 coaches is actually wanted by a few different clubs. It might be time to move him up into the first team coaching picture if people are going to try and take him off of us. Rest of the midfield, we've got Kieran Hodgkinson, Micah Hamilton, and then Terrell Whitaker on the right, who's also still at Blackpool. So he'll be knocking around in League 2 again. Banging the goals in as well. Best goal returns ever from Terrell Whitaker. I wonder if they're actually playing him as a striker now. He's still natural all down the right-hand side, which we forced upon him. But I suspect with those kinds of goal returns, he's probably finally getting to play up front as a striker. Micah Beerif also went to Blackpool, but he's now at Bolton. So we sold him for 210,000. He never really scored goals for Blackpool, which is a surprise considering he was always in the goals for us. 21 goals in League 1 for us. Never really got there for Blackpool at that level. Went to Bolton and got 10 goals. So not a disaster for him, but not the kind of form we'd expect. And Tommy Jessup is the other striker in our all-time best 11, who of course for now is still here, but will probably leave this summer. Oliver Wright is now still at Crawley, went to West Brom, and then went to play in the conference for Crawley and seems to be having a lovely time down there. Eli Campbell left this year to go to Hull, where he's starting regularly in League 1 and playing better than he ever has in his career. That's the form of his life from Eli Campbell. Mauro Bandera is now at Huddersfield, which is where we sold him to, playing regularly down in League 1 for Huddersfield. Renan is obviously still with us. Danny Pritchard is now at Tranmere, so he's on loan from Blackpool. So another one who went into Blackpool, never really established himself there. Interesting that Beerif, Whitaker and Pritchard all went to Blackpool and the only one scoring goals is Whitaker, who never really scored goals for us. Danny Pritchard now playing on loan down in the conference for Tranmere. A 6-goal return in the conference. Last time he was playing in the conference, 14 goals and a much better average rating. And then lastly, of the players who aren't still here, Callum Cisse is another one who's at Hull. We sold him to Wigan. He then went to Sunderland, on to Hull, and Troy Cannon is the last one in the best 11. So season review stuff done. Now we get to find out how many pennies we're going to get. Like I say, I don't need a lot, Mrs Wearmouth. I'm more worried in you not selling anyone and maybe upgrading the ground and the facilities again. But I mean, if you give me 5 million, I'm not going to be grumpy about it. You know what? It's more than I was expecting. £185,000 a week wages, £1.26 million to spend. We are going to have to immediately convert some. Oh, we can't convert it down to wage budget, but that is more than I thought we'd get. The wage budget is there or thereabouts. We'll obviously sell a few players, and there's going to be players sold to go towards that figure as well. We could actually still potentially bring a few players in this summer, which I wasn't necessarily expecting to be able to do. Club vision stuff. Is she adding anything new on here? We now have a new thing on the 5-year plan to expand the stadium, finally. But this season, still looking to just avoid a relegation battle. Come on, Mrs Wearmouth. Show some ambition. And then within 5 years, top half finishes in the championship. We're better than all that. But at least she is now finally looking in terms of expanding the stadium, because we were maxing it out. If you look at the attendances, our home matches, we max it out every single week now. Even that friendly against Bourne got 3,500 people. But we need a bigger ground. We might even get one this summer. She might be on the verge of announcing it. Our team leaders are Davies, Curry and Williams. If Nathan Curry's not going to be here long term, we need someone else to step into that role. This is probably going to be Curry's final season unless we get promoted and decide to throw 10 million at Brentford and pay him the 40 grand a week that they're paying him. But I just don't expect I'm going to. I do think longer term, it's going to be Grucock who's in that position. Right, how have we offended them? Show a bit more ambition. Well, I just had to tell Mrs Wearmouth, like, let's say mid-table then. Mrs Wearmouth's the one saying relegation to me. Right, they're thinking mid-table, which means I'm thinking got to be promoted this year. Got to be promoted this year. Interesting to see Zebi and Ali Basic still in the team report. No, they're not starters for us at the moment, especially not Zebi. And then Santa Maria, just flick him over onto that. And that should be fine. Right, plan for the summer then. We need to wait for the money to come in first, because there's no point asking for the ground to be upgraded until we've got a positive bank balance. We know there is money that comes in from the championship penny pot that should put us into the black at some point. If we can sell a player or two as well between now and then ask, we've got a little bit of a chance. And we did get our upgraded training facilities come through just before the playoffs. So we've now got superb training facilities, excellent youth facilities, a level 2 youth academy, exceptional youth recruitment, exceptional academy coaching. The youth setup is solid and will be for a long time to come. It's the ground that we need to be working on now if we get some spare money. And we also need to be moving on some of these players who just weren't getting in the team this year. So Ivanov, his contract's up this year. He can go. But we need to be selling Troy Cannon, Tommy Jessup, probably Zebi. Zebi's 22 now. I don't expect him to ever be in the team. So let's try and get any kind of cash for him while we can. He's probably the only other one. And maybe Andy Hall. Andy Hall's lost his... If Andy Hall had any kind of value, we'd sell him. But at 150,000, he's actually fine as a backup for us. Although we have got Santa Maria coming through. But the big ones that have got to move on, Ivanov will just leave at the end of his contract. But Troy Cannon, we want money for. Let's take off that and just see what kind of offers we get. Tommy Jessup. This time last year, he was worth 7 million. Now down to 700,000. We'll take it. And I think we transfer this Zebi at this point as well. And get him gone and try and use those 3 to generate us a little bit of cash, and then moving down into the under 23s. And we'll just see if there's anybody whose potential has dropped to such a level that they're never going to get anywhere near the team. So really, we're looking for anyone who's over. I mean, the under 18s, the ones on the youth contracts, I'm not that bothered about. But the ones on proper contracts who've got 3-star potential or less, they're the ones who need to be moving on, because they're never making it either. I mean, he's 21 and still here. We need to clear some of this junk out, try and slim the squad down a little bit again, and then see if there's any money left over to bring in any players. If we do get the opportunity to bring somebody in, I don't know that we necessarily... I mean, I guess, what do we need? Maybe a central midfielder to allow Hodgkinson to play a little bit further forward, maybe in the attacking midfield role. If Curry's now our right back and Hodgkinson's going to play there, take Connor Roberts and Alec Lay out of the equation because they're there and there. Hamilton's, yeah, we need central midfielders. We've basically got Ali Basic, Akani, Camilleri, Yerebek. There's potential. I think central midfield is where we'd strengthen if we can, or maybe right wing. I'd love to get Euron Hughes back. I wonder if... I mean, he is homegrown at club now. So he is one of those who, although he's left, we could bring back because of his homegrown at club status. I think if he stays, which would allow Renan to have carried on playing on the left, I think if he stays, we'd probably go up as champions. I think he'd have been that much of a difference maker. So we're probably not going to try and bring him back, but it's an idea. going to be an interesting summer. Our youth category has gone up, boys and girls, from category 2 to category 1. People often ask how we're spending so much money each year. £3.36 million a year it's going to cost to run our youth setup. So really, we need at least £3.36 million a year worth of player come through the youth system. And I guess on average, we probably have had that. If you have a look at the first team squad and look at who the best players in it are, Hodgkinson, Williams, Curry, Davies, Roberts, Lay. Was Onyango ours? No. A lot of these did come through. Akani, McGowan, Blamplate, Camilleri, McCartan, Cannon. They all came through that youth system. So that's probably £20 million of a player right there. It probably isn't. But you know what I mean. I think we need that higher caliber to come through now. We need an Alex Williams every year, which is probably asking a lot. I don't want it to be a goalkeeper every year either. If the universe is listening, I'm not ordering a new goalkeeper every year. Nobody wants Tommy Jessup. Mrs Wearmouth is wonderful. Another £5.5 million loan. The great thing about these loans as well is they're not loans that she asks us to pay back. They're presumably loans that will have to be paid back as part of any deal that is eventually struck for her to leave the club. Should be repaid all of these directors' loans. So it's not something that's ever going to affect us. And in fact, makes it less likely that she'll ever leave. And for as long as she's here, she's going to carry on propping us up. It's still not the time to ask about the ground because there is still the championship prize money to come in as well, or TV money or whatever it is. That balance should go up to 4 or 5 million any time now. That's the point we're going to ask about increasing the stadium and cross our fingers. Right, solidarity pennies are in, which means our bank balance is now up at over 5.5 or just under 5.5 million. Now is the time. If she's going to do it, should we say expand or new? I think we've got to say expand. Come on, Mrs. Wearmouth. Don't let us down. Let's hit continue. What? We aren't convinced our fan base is big enough. What are you talking about, Mrs. Wearmouth? We've been maxing out the ground every week. Yeah, let's discuss it. We aren't convinced that our fan base is that big. It's not irresponsible at all. Right. I really can't stress how important I think. No, she's not interested. Should I leak it to the press? Probably shouldn't. I'll end up getting fired. Right, can we ask her for a new stadium then? We'll try this route. Mrs. Wearmouth, can we have a new stadium if we can't have an expanded stadium? No, because of the financial situation. Well, and now she's not taking my calls. Fantastic. I'm very proud. This is the second one of my boys who's gone on to become a manager somewhere else. Obviously, Mark Wearmouth made his way back to the club eventually and is now back in our coaching staff. But Slam Dunk is the new manager of Luton. This is Luton, who are in League Two, finished 20th in League Two last year. Slam Dunk's their new manager. What a career this man has had. Good luck to you, Slam Dunk. If it doesn't work out, you'll always be welcome back at home. But goodness me, am I desperate for this man to go on and have an incredible career as a football manager. We're going to be definitely keeping an eye on his progress. Look at that. I have a very close relationship with Slam Dunk. Too right, I do. Love that, man. Good luck to you, Slam Dunk. We're still going to be doing the corners if it's all right with you. Right, we have made it through to the 1st of July and there's been lots of clearing out going on. Oh, have we got a sell-on clause for Bachelorette Pitetta? Do we want to take 50 grand for him? When's his contract with them up? He's got 3 years left. They're never going to sell him. I'd feel a bit of a monster taking even more money when we took him back on loan for the 4 years. He was still any use to us. But you know what? Money's money. We'll have it. We like a spot of money. There you go. Tom Bachelorette Pitetta bringing some more cash in as well. But there have been a lot of players just bringing in a little bit of cash for us. If we go back to the tail end of last season, you can see we brought one player in. Luca Pirozzi is a 18-year-old American under-20 international left-back. 2.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. Another one to go in the potential Premier League player club. He was released by LA Galaxy and was available on a free transfer. So I thought, yes, we'll have a bit of that. In fact, he was released years ago. How is he still only 18 when he was released 2 years ago? I don't know. There you go. We've got him. He probably needs a little bit of time to get up to some match fitness. But then we've just been clearing out a lot of the players that we weren't really using, didn't really need. So some of these you won't even have heard of. Abdullah Mason, I don't know who he is. Apparently we signed him from, I guess we had him in that gap between Arsenal and Hull. He's not even showing up there as ever having played for us. He must have come in on a free transfer. We've sold him for 115,000. Tim Beach is another one. Troy Cannon is significant. He's gone to Milton Keynes Dons for £205,000. He goes with our blessing. He was a very, very good player down in the lower leagues. Never quite became the player we wanted him to be. And at 25 and not playing a single game for us last year, I think it was pretty clear Troy Cannon was done. So he moves on. Andy Hall has left as well, partly because we signed the new American kid. We also brought Santa Maria in, and we got a lot of options at fullback now. So Andy Hall, been a very good servant for a very long time, was still only 23 when we sold him. Came in from Manchester United, 6 years ago? Was our first choice starting left back for a good 4 years. He's the one who finished off Tom Bacharach Pitetta, but lost his place to Francis last season, was never going to win it back. And there's other young players coming through who need to be the reserve in that position. So to get 200,000 for Hall works for me. A couple of other fringe players have left in there as well, and then move into stuff that's happened since the season officially ticked over. Tommy Jessup has gone to Hull for £450,000. I hope he goes there and scores a ton of goals for him. He's actually managed to move to another championship club and has shown in the past he is capable of being a very good player in the Championship. Those first couple of years when we first got promoted, that first year, 21 goals and 10 assists in the Championship, 31 goal contributions from 42 appearances and a 7.4. And he was just as deadly the following season as well, but then just kind of went off the boil. And where the likes of Hamilton and Renan came back after that awful season where everyone was rubbish, Jessup never really got the opportunity to, because we moved on and went in another direction. He was a little bit older. He's 25. Wasn't ever going to improve from where he was. So we decided to move him on. And that's where we sit right now. There's a couple of other transfers actually that are on the verge of going through as well. Matty Brewerton is probably going to be going to Dundee for 73,000. Similar logic to letting Andy Hall go. Brewerton lost his place, was never going to win it back. So let's cash in while we can. Derek McGowan, the young centre-back who was sat on our bench all last year, but I was kind of afraid to play him. If I'm going to be afraid to play him, let's get another season of football under his belt. So he's going to go out on loan to Dunfermline and go and get some, hopefully a full season of game time for them. Tommaso Zebbi should be on his way back to Italy. He's going to Livorno. Colin Jackson-Wolf is going to be going out on loan as well. He's another one who we brought in last year, never really played. And if we're not going to play him, let's get him some game time. So he's going out on loan to get some game time. And that leaves us with a much smaller first team squad than we've had at any point in the last year or so. 24 people, but with Zebbi coming out of that number as well, and Brewerton, that brings us down to a 22-man first team squad. So we probably want to add 3 or 4 players to that. We've got 1.2 million in transfer money and a decent gap on the wage budget as well to go and do that. So the job now is to go and identify 3 or 4 players who can come in and become part of this first team squad straight away. It looks like we need someone who can play on that left-hand side. We've already identified we need a central midfielder. I think a centre-back with Brewerton leaving and McGowan going out on loan, another centre-back is probably a good idea. And then maybe some kind of, maybe even another midfielder, some kind of utility player for this kind of area. We might even find a striker to get in there and compete with Costabile and compete with Fulton and Renan. If we could find starting wingers to allow Renan to play up front again, that could probably work too. So we're now going to go and hunt for them, and hopefully in the next bit that you see, it'll be introducing you to some of those new players. We've signed a player, boys and girls, Gerson Pintos, an 18-year-old Portuguese under-20 international, under-19 international. He comes in, he was out of contract at Sporting, but we had to pay compensation for him. So we paid £675,000 of compensation. He's a central midfielder, 2.5-star current ability, 5-star potential. He's another one for the potential to be a Premier League midfield player in the future club. And he is in. We're having a little bit of trouble trying to find anybody else. This guy was going to be my perfect centre-back that I was going to bring in. Everyone else seemed to want him. There was a bunch of bigger clubs in for him, but he didn't get a work permit. So without a work permit, there's not a lot I can do. I mean, he actually refused to join without one. Not that I would want him without one. And we've made that mistake a few times before now. So I'm not really into bringing players in without work permits. But that one guy has taken up all of the transfer budget, theoretically, although actually we can shuffle around and we're fine. I don't know why it's gone so extreme when we're nowhere near the wage budget, but we've got one more that we're trying to bring in. We're just waiting for a work permit for him. Vanda is an 18-year-old Brazilian left winger, which we could probably do with a left winger in the squad. We've shuffled things around a little bit again, and we've brought Colin O'Hara up from the under-23s. He's 19. We signed him a year ago from St Johnstone. He was out on loan at Wrexham for the season, but he's sort of drafted into the squad for that left wing role for now. But if we could bring in Vanda as well, I think it just gives us an extra body out there. We've also brought Grukok up into the first team squad as well, just to give us an extra body in midfield. I think the one thing I really want now is another defender, because looking at the defenders that we've got, out and out left back, we've got Francis and Pirozzi. Right back, Curry and McCartan. Santa Maria can cover both fullbacks and centre-back as well. So centre-back, Davies, Barr, Lay and Santa Maria. But Santa Maria could well be playing at fullback. Lay could be playing in midfield, although we've now got some more ball-winning midfielders in there in the shape of Grukok and the new guy from Portugal whose name I can't remember. So we've got other options in there now, but I think probably another left winger, another defender, probably a centre-back. And I think we're there. I don't think we're likely to bring in a striker who's any better than Fulton or Costabile. So I'm not desperate to go and get someone to play up front, but I think a defender and a winger, and we're ready to win the league. Here we go again. This was always the danger of not getting promoted. We could potentially go from having Williams and Reed to neither of them and having to go with Green. I am going to protest the transfer. The really frustrating thing is this is half what Palace offered us like 3 years ago for him. Protest. We've got money in the bank. We don't need to sell him. We would be weakened by his loss. Yay! Good old Mrs Wearmouth. We get to keep Alex Williams. Fantastic. Well, we're not getting Vanda because his work permit's been rejected. So there's no point bringing him in. Back to the drawing board. Although I am kind of thinking, let's not spend any more money. Because the last thing we want to do is get to the point where we can't reject those offers for Williams. So maybe we'll go with this. I do think this is it's a stronger squad than we started last season with, that's for sure. I just would like another defender. Well, this is a problem. Can't argue this time. My only choice I'm given is resign. I have offered him a new contract. We're only going to get 15% of it. It's not as if we're even going to be able to see if we can squeeze that through. At the very least. How has it come to this? Can we get Reed back? Green's going to have to be the man. I mean, the thing is, I'm talking as if it's a disaster. It's certainly not ideal. It does weaken us massively. But Jack Green is a potential Premier League goalkeeper. And Tristan McDonald, he's in the England under-19 squad now, he's also a potential Premier League goalkeeper in the future. He's the next one off of our own conveyor belt that we've previously had Williams and Reed come through. This is literally the price we're paying for not getting promoted. If we'd have gone up, Williams doesn't leave. But I guess he's going. So 11.25 up front, 2.5 million after 20 games, plus a 20% sell-on. He is currently considering a new contract offer from us. There's a chance he might decide he wants to stay with us. I mean, I guess what I could do is just throw all the money at him and say, look, Alex, come on now. Stay with us. We're just going to roll the dice. What else can I throw at him to try and get him to say? Because he is still negotiating. That's the thing. It's not like he wants to leave. This is Mrs Wearmouth. Can we add a promotion pay rise? Well, certainly we will. We'll add one. How do you do it? I'm so used to taking them off. I don't know how to add them on. Is it a bonus? No. There must be. Oh, there you go. Pay rise. Have a 30% pay rise when we get promoted. You know what? Forget that. Have a 50% pay rise. That'll still only put him up to 20 grand. I'll pay him 20 grand a week in the Premier League. What else can we tempt him with? I don't really want to add a release clause on. That's the pickle we're in now. We could even add a non-promotion release clause at the price Palace have just... So we can say to him, look, Palace have said now 12.5 million. So if we don't go up this year, you can definitely go for 12.5 million next summer and I can't do anything about it. Let's hope he chooses us. Well, end of an era. Alex Williams has got... They're not even in the Premier League. We're going to be playing against him this year. This is what we're up against in this league. Alex Williams has gone to Crystal Palace for £11.25 million. Mrs Wearmouth, the one thing I asked her not to do. We're in the best financial position we've been in ever, and we've sold him for less than we've been able to turn down in the past, and she's only giving me 3 million of it to spend. We've got 14 million pounds in the bank, and I'm only getting 3 million of it to reinvest. I wonder if that... I tell you what we could do. Do you reckon we could get him on loan? No. I wonder if we could sign him back on the cheap. Did we get a sell on for him? He's apparently not as good as Jack Green, according to that. So actually, we go with Green. No, O'Hara's in the squad this year. Well... yeah, too right. Tristan McDonald needs to come up into the first team squad. He's now our backup goalkeeper. He needs to come off that loan list. How do you take someone off the loan list? I never know how to do it from that other screen. He's our backup keeper. Green is first choice. It is a big downgrade. The amount of times last year we relied on Alex Williams. Long term, I'm sure he'll end up being as good, if not better, than Alex Williams. But short term... those all-important saves this season, he's a League One goalkeeper currently. He needs to get good quick. At least we've got some money to reinvest now, though. Well, we've made it through until the first day of the new season. There was a little bit more business. We did sign a defender in the end. Almani Keita has come in from Barnsley? Weirdly, Barnsley. Never played for him, came through their youth system. But he's 18 years old. He's 2.5-star current ability, 5-star potential. Another one to go into the future Premier League club, and is now our 4th centre-back that we've got while McGowan is away doing his excursion year on loan up in Scotland. Alec Lay has been appointed as our new vice-captain as well, in the absence of Alex Williams. Luca Perazzi is considered our hot prospect. That's nice to know. Only 4.5-star potential, so it's a little bit of a weird one. And Kieran Hodgkinson, was he our key player before? I feel like that might have been Williams actually before. Kieran Hodgkinson has now reassumed his role as key player at the club. There's still a bunch of cash lying around, even after bringing Keita in. It's just proving difficult to find players that aren't stupidly expensive that I think will actually improve us now. I'm really conscious of the fact we should be in the Premier League next year. So there's no point bringing in, I don't know, let's pick an example. This guy, firstly, he's a wing back. And look how many of these are left wing backs. We've got several good left wing backs. We don't need any more, thanks. But this guy, in fact, the one above him is probably a better example. Henry Cadden is 18 years old. He's a striker. He's going to cost us 3 million, 4 million to come in as our 7th best striker. So he's not going to be playing straight away. Is he ever going to be good enough to play in the Premier League? Do we want to spend our entire transfer budget on him to sit on the bench this year and then probably never play when we get promoted? Probably not. So I think it's going to be quite hard to part me from my money this summer or for the rest of this transfer window. But we shall see, I guess. We shall see what life after Williams is like in the next episode. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.